Welcome to the jungle, savages. My name is Baloo the Bear, and this is the Crypto Jungle. On the channel, we focus on the Wyckoff method. We do technical analysis and fundamental analysis on the cryptocurrency market. If you're new here and want to invite you to subscribe, this is an unbiased channel. This is a channel that is basically run by the community, not run by venture capitalists, not run by the YouTube algorithm. We strive to create an unbiased and truthful opinion about the direction of cryptocurrency markets in general. So in today's video, I want to take a look at traditional finance. We are still highly correlated with what's going on in the traditional financial space, as well as take a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a few of the major altcoins as well. And then we'll open it up to you guys to take a look at some of the charts and projects that you think are interesting. I do think that a lot of what we look at needs to be taken with a grain of salt, or just we need to look at things with the perspective that we're in a potential accumulation period. Accumulation takes time, so we can certainly look at projects, but there's no aping in on this channel, at least not right now. All right, so let's dive in here and let's take a look at the king of all crypto, and that is Bitcoin. Starting off with Bitcoin here on the daily, we are still inside of this macro downwards channel. We broke bearish. So we had a bearish break of this bear flag consolidation that we've been mapping for the last 60 days. So 2 months, we've been aware of this bear flag formation. The volatility did not decrease. We were kind of leaning towards this being a bearish consolidation. I did think that maybe we could get a pop up to the upper end of the channel here. Let's make that a better color. Brighter, easier to see color. Unable to do so, which is showing that we have an incredible amount of weakness inside of the cryptocurrency market as a whole. A lot of the market globally, all markets, are taking more of a risk-off approach, and cryptocurrency is one of the most risky asset classes that you can invest in. So if the global markets are taking a risk-off approach, it's not surprising that we're seeing a lack of demand in the highest risk asset class in the market. So getting a little bit of a melt down in this general range right here. Let's dive into some smaller time frames. Let's go to kind of our intraday time frame here on the 4-hour. And see what we can see. So we can see the fall, the LPSY, and move down here, kind of matching the level of support right here at around $20,000, $21,000, showing support right there. We do have kind of a double bottom formation on this small time frame, but we also have a little bit of a bearish divergence occurring here on the RSI, so we don't have a ton of room to the upside. So I'm not anticipating a move up to the underside. I just think that we're incredibly weak. We're incredibly weak here. So we need to kind of, approach the market with that kind of mentality. We were unable to achieve the bearish retest up here. So we may not be able to achieve the bearish retest here. Don't be surprised if we take another leg down, or at least kind of a fake out move before a possible move up. The volatility is really, really extreme right now. I can't give you guys a clear direction call because the liquidity in the order books is very, very thin, meaning it's not hard to move the price one way or another. So you need to be prepared for all circumstances, and they're all kind of evenly weighted. So how I'm handling that volatility is I'm not trading. Okay, I don't have conviction one way or the other right now. Sometimes the best position in these markets is no position. So if you've been constantly trying to, predict the direction of the market, you've experienced a lot of capital loss because you're fighting against the trend of the market, and the trend of the market right now is chop. So you can't position for chop unless you're an advanced, sophisticated investor that knows how to do kind of delta neutral option strategies. You can't capitalize on chop. So, you know, picking a trend direction right now, very, very difficult to do. It's more of a wait and see type scenario that we're in right now. So that's kind of the approach to the market that I'm taking. We can take a look at some clues towards short-term trend direction here if we go over to the traditional financial market. And the S&P 500 came right up to the area of the trend line rejection that we were discussing. You know, we identified these two tops, the all-time high, the rejection, and we came up here unable to even properly test it, and it looks like the market is wanting to show a reversal back down. So we could potentially come back down to this support area right near the mean of this macro channel before giving another attempt to potentially break past that line. But as it stands right here, right now, it's looking more as though we're getting a rejection from that level. So a rejection in traditional finance will correlate with a rejection in crypto, and we can expect lower prices as a result. Taking a look at the Nasdaq, let's go to a smaller time frame here on the daily. Same general story, just a different chart structure here. The Nasdaq potentially setting up for an inverse head and shoulders, but we're going to need to find some support here. This is a pretty important level of support. Given the posture of what we're looking at with the S&P, I wouldn't be surprised to see this one break support. So don't be surprised to at least come down and visit this level right here, which would kind of complete a potential inverse head and shoulders structure. I don't like to predict anything. I'm not saying that, you know, an inverse head and shoulders will be a bottom or anything like that. I'm just pointing out that that would be a potential trade setup if we come down to this level, consolidate, and break out of that. So you'd take the position to the long side as far as the Nasdaq is concerned once we break past that consolidation level and move to the upside. But we're not going to try and predict the market. We're going to observe the market. Observe, observe, observe. If you're trying to aggressively make money in this market, you are aggressively losing money in this market. So be aware that the market conditions are very, very important, and you need to honor the market. The market will give. Again, the market always gives, but you need to understand when to kind of, you know, lay off the gas a little bit and prepare for that moment where you're gonna, you know, press the gas and it's go time again. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum, look at that. We talked about this level on the last stream. We were kind of up here, and I said, you know, watch for a test right back down to the bottom of this trend line here. Look at where we're sitting. We're sitting on this trend line. Now, if we lose this level on Ethereum, it's not good. It's not good. If we lose this level on Ethereum, then we're going back to its local low at below $1,000, which I think is fantastic. There's a lot of hype around the Ethereum merge. A lot of people have extremely high expectations for the Ethereum merge. Are we not getting any chat coming into my stream? I must have screwed up something somewhere because the chat is not coming in here. All good, all good. Anyways, so yeah, if we lose this level here on Ethereum, we're at least coming down below 1,000. Ultimately, I do think that this bear market is kind of setting itself up for possibly even just preliminary support levels. I know people don't want to hear that. I know that that's really kind of, you know, not very good news. But if we kind of take an objective approach here and look at this from the point of view of the Wyckoff method, we're showing a lot of signs of support. This was a downtrend the whole time, okay? So now if we're able to show support here, what is that showing us? It's showing us our preliminary support. It's showing us our first level of support. So that is where we could start to build the cause or build the story of a possible another leg down. Now, traditional finance, in my opinion, is definitely poised for another leg down. We have some fundamentally bearish things that are happening globally, both in monetary policy and a lot of financial troubles that are coming out of Asia right now. So there's a lot to point to that could, builds that narrative around another leg down in equity markets and other global markets. But yeah, we could be potentially coming up with not even our seller's climax. We could be looking at simply our preliminary support level. If that is to be the case, if this ends up just being our preliminary support level, then the next leg down is going to be the area that I've been talking about for a while, anywhere between $13,700 and $9,800 for the price of Bitcoin. So oh, it is working. Okay, I guess it's only streaming on Twitch. The YouTube comments aren't making it through for whatever reason. But thank you for Opiora for that test there. So yeah, not great. I'm not making any predictions. I just am looking at the facts in the charts as I see them in real time. And this is a very, very important concept for people to really understand and submit, because it seems like every YouTuber is claiming that they're able to see what's going to happen next. And I think the reason they do that is because it gets likes and it gets clicks. Okay. And the YouTube algorithm is optimized for lying. The YouTube algorithm is optimized for crypto influencers to lie to you. It's not YouTube's fault. YouTube is trying to push good content that people are interested in to the top of the pile. The problem is human emotion is attached to greed, and human emotion is attached to fear. You're going to get more clicks, you're going to get more likes on the greed side of things. So if I put out really bullish videos, I'm going to get a lot of likes. If I get a lot of likes, I go to the top of the pile in my category. So understanding how the YouTube algorithm works will help you understand why some of the biggest liars in crypto are also the top YouTubers in crypto. So, it's not good for the channel for me to kind of, consistently come at this from a bearish point of view, but we have nothing. We have no facts in the charts. There's not a single thing that I can point to that says the bottom's in. So I'm not going to come here and report that the bottom's in. Once the bottom's in, I'm sure I'll get a ton of engagement and a ton of growth, because people are going to start liking the videos because I'm going to be saying nice things. But as it stands right now, we're in a macro structure of lower highs and lower lows. We've been talking about it for fucking almost a year now. How long have we been talking about this structure? I think if we're being honest, we identified it as a macro structure once we broke 45. So not too long, about 140 days. 140 days of identified macro downtrend. So understand that until this structure changes, until something here changes, whether we flatten out for a while or whether we change the structure to higher highs and higher lows, the trend is your friend until it ends. So if you're on the long side, you're on the wrong side, because the trend is showing you that lower levels are more possible than higher levels are possible. I don't care what the fundamentals are. I don't care who's buying what where. I don't care. The chart, it will not lie, okay? If you've ever followed Crypto Crew University, guy's a bit of a salesman, but he has a really good saying that I like. Women lie, men lie, charts don't lie. And it's true, okay? It's so true. The charts will not lie. If people are buying, the price will go up. If people are selling, the price will go down. So if people are telling you everybody's buying and we're bullish, but the price is going down, somebody is lying to you. So understanding how to read the charts are really your only they're your only saving grace in becoming a trader. You have to learn how to trade the charts. You have to learn how to read the charts so that you're able to, position yourself without somebody else's bias. You have to assume that everybody, including myself, is lying. Everybody has an opinion and they all stink, okay? You need to just look at the facts in the charts, and the facts are saying lower levels. Sorry. So with Ethereum, back to my point on Ethereum, if this is a preliminary support level, I talked about this level before, and it's below $500. I think Ethereum has the potential to go below $500. Obviously, we need to take things one level at a time. So the level that we're concerning ourselves with now is this level right here, which is between about $800 to $1,000. If we can hold between $800 and $1,000, we do not need to worry about the $500 level. If we break that level, $500 is where we are going. Just want to make that abundantly clear, okay? A lot of people aren't talking about these levels, and a lot of people think that it's impossible for these levels to be achieved. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Everything on the face of the earth is worth as much as somebody's willing to pay for it. End of story. So there is no impossibilities, especially in crypto, because it's incredibly volatile and very, very speculative. Hello, Kahuna Organics. Aloha. All right, let's take a look at Avalanche. Even though I don't have an appetite for altcoins right now, Avalanche, you know what, let's go with something a little bit more macro here. Let's take a look at Solana. It's been a while since I've looked at Solana. Solana showing some sort of support range. So not a lot of driving demand in this area here. Let's actually erase these drawings. The one drawing actually. But we are showing a little bit of support here. Now, the question is this our bottom or is this our preliminary support? I am of the opinion that we're looking at preliminary supports, especially when we're in, whether we're looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any other altcoin, we're looking at preliminary support levels. So if we took another leg down, what's the next area of interest? If we drag this support line over and see what confluence we have from the past, that'll help us to determine where we're headed next. So this consolidation was kind of, or this area of support right here is kind of the consolidation back here before we really took off in Solana. So you want to go back to the last break, and that's a very, very low level. That's sub $20. Let's not be that bearish. Let's not be that ridiculous. Let's go with something like this. So if this was the mean, if we go through the middle of this consolidation, we'll go through the middle of the prior consolidation, and that brings us to around $14. So I wouldn't be surprised to see kind of $10 if we break support. I really need to make, people hear me say prices, and then they think that that's the price prediction. So if I say 14, people say, or they think, oh, we're going to 14. No, if we break this level. If we break this level with high time frame candles and begin to impulse to the downside, then we would be looking at around a $10 to $15 Solana. One level at a time. We haven't broken this 35 level yet. We haven't broken this $30 level yet. So as long as the $30 level remains intact, we're good to go. I'm just going to take a moment here to let the community know, or the few people that we have here on the stream today, that the live streams on YouTube will be coming to an end. The YouTube experience is not nearly as good as the Twitch experience. I want to build more engagement with the show. I want to build more interactivity with the show, and I don't have the tools that I need to do so on YouTube. So if you're a YouTube subscriber, there will be content produced and given to you on the show. You're not going to miss anything. The only thing that you're going to miss out on is being active and live in the chat. So we are transitioning over to Twitch. If you're not following me on Twitch, go ahead and follow the links. You can scan the QR code and that'll take you over to my Twitch account. That QR code is my link tree. And you can take a look. There's also, you know, down in the description below, there's also my link tree as well that will get you over to Twitch. So the live show, nothing is confirmed yet in terms of dates, but we will be transitioning over to Twitch in the coming weeks to potentially months. Yeah. But again, there will be reposts, there will be restreams here on the main channel as well. So if you just refuse to go to Twitch, which is fine, even though I think Twitch is way better for live streams, if you just don't want to add another platform to your workflow, that's entirely fine. You're not going to miss the content. All right, so that's Solana. Let's take a look at our shitcoin bingo list here. And let's start off with Cardano, and we'll take a look at Cardano using our custom indicator, the alphanumerics indicator. Let's actually go to the weekly chart, because you know, when you're in a bear market, you should start really taking a look at things on weekly high time frame, on just the high time frames. So we did have a week where we were above the 7 EMA. Once you get above the 7 EMA and you can start to close, weekly candle body closes above, you can see back here before we really started to rally here, you know, we had several weeks closing on top of the 7, and that kicked off a bull market. We had 1 week sitting on top of the 7, and then the next week we fell back below. So we got rejected from the 7, and you know, we're gonna have to work at getting back on top of that. So to all the Cardano holders out there, not yet, not yet. I've been quite bearish on Cardano for a very long time on this channel. I just want to let everybody know that I'm not quite as bearish anymore. I was warning everybody. I basically called the top on Cardano. I said smart contracts are going to be the top. The date of the smart contracts were the top. Everybody didn't believe me. They got quite angry, and you know, you were at $3 and now we're at 46 cents. Hate to say I told you so, but it's very common. It's very common when the fundamentals of a project don't match the valuation and you have a very anticipated event that it turns into kind of a buy the rumor, sell the news event. So that was kind of my thesis on what was going on with Cardano, and it turned out that my thesis was correct. Subscribe to the channel if you want to know when I think that Cardano, when the bottom is in on Cardano, because I will also be covering that as well. And I also want to make it very clear to those who have been, you know, for those who have experienced the bearishness I've had on Cardano. I was bearish on Cardano because the valuation didn't make sense and there was no product. Cardano community maybe didn't agree, but the reality is it was a smart contract platform without smart contracts. We have smart contracts, we have applications, and the valuation of Cardano has significantly gone down. So it's much more aligned with what I believe to be a valuable project now than it ever has been, and I'm definitely going to be doing some further research into the fundamentals of Cardano, because I actually think, as far as a proof of stake network is concerned, it's a better protocol design than Ethereum. And because Ethereum is making the biggest fucking mistake of their life and going to proof of stake, Cardano might actually be better than Ethereum. So we'll have to see what happens. All right, let's take a look at Ape. Ape did the exact same thing. We spent about a week, 2 weeks actually, on top of the 7 EMA on the weekly for the alphanumerics indicator. We got a rejection from that level. We're back below. When we're below the 7, we do not care. We do not care. We're below the 7, nothing matters. Taking a look at CRO, below the 7, doesn't matter. Below the 7 on Doge, we're not going anywhere while we're below the 7. Taking a look at Shiba Inu. Shiba Inu had that big pump that got everybody excited that I told them, you know, this is how the order books work in a bear market. I tried to explain the concept of how price is made in a bear market, and people didn't listen and they got into SHIB, and now they're down. They're down. What was that candle? 20% down after I said this is going down. Said it was going down on this candle, 20% down right after that show. But But I will say, you know, currently we are sitting on top of the 7. If it can hold the 7, there's a potential for it to trend upwards. But given that the rest of the cryptocurrency market is working against it, I anticipate that we lose the 7 and we come back down to these levels at not 855. So another, you know, 60% correction from here, something like that, 40% correction from here. Good luck to you, Shiba Inu fucking degens. Solana, we took a look at Theta token, another one that's potentially bottoming but not showing any characteristics of the ability for a rally. VeChain, all the fucking VeChainers out there. No, I'm not gonna say it. VeChain's not ready to rally. VeChain's not ready to rally. Same position as everything else that we've looked at. We're below the 7. We're below the 7. We ain't good. We're not doing shit. We're not doing jack shit. XRP, another fucking golden child here. Below the 7, not doing jack shit. Zilliqa, below the 7, not doing jack shit. Now we'll get into some that I actually think have value that I'm also not buying. Nothing here is financial advice, but I will kind of share different projects with you that I think are interesting. And I think that GMX here is a very interesting project. And I will also say that I don't own any, and I have no plan on buying any at these levels. So I just want to make that abundantly clear. But the fundamentals of this protocol design are incredibly strong. This is a decentralized derivatives platform. This is where you can get DeFi futures on you know, highly liquid crypto assets such as Bitcoin and Ethereum. But what's unique about this token is it is a real yield project. So the transaction volume will capture Ethereum. So whenever you place a trade, there's a small fee for every trade that you pass, just like on an exchange. An exchange takes a fee, but that fee goes into a pool, and that pool goes to these token stakers. So this is a real yield protocol. This is not a fake bullshit Uniswap yields. This is not a liquidity pool yield with just some made up number with some made up coin. This is a way for you to capture Ethereum being a stakeholder in the protocol. I like these types of projects, and this is a fundamentally very strong project. Please go and do your own research and make your own decisions. I do think that this price collapses with the rest of the cryptocurrency market. I'd be interested in accumulating around the $20 level. So that's about a 50% reduction from here. So not jumping into anything, just letting you guys know that I'm very interested in this project. Another one with the same sort of intelligent protocol design, and also a project that nobody really cares about, which interests me when there's strong fundamentals and nobody cares, is LooksRare. I think that the LooksRare protocol is a very unique and interesting protocol. I do have a position in this, but I'm not accumulating at this point. So I took a position. It was probably one of the last positions that I took for the long term before I decided no more token allocation to projects until we get signs of a bottom. Once we get signs for the bottom, I will be beefing up that position. This is it's the same as GMX. It captures volume. So the more people trade NFTs on LooksRare, the more Ethereum I get. That's basically the long and short of it. It's a way for you to capture dividends, much like in the stock market will pay you dividends, transaction volume, all of the profits from the LooksRare platform go to the token holders. Really, really interesting project. All right, spam your tickers, ladies and gentlemen. Spam your tickers while I take a look at the Axie Infinity ecosystem. We'll start off with AXS. AXS token. Let's go to the weekly. Let's give it the old alphanumerics test here. Below the 7. So below the 7 on alphanumerics means what? It means that we will continue to be below the 7. So the trend is your friend, and the trend is no momentum. No momentum. So altcoins, I mean crypto in general is risk off. Okay, the world is risk off. Bitcoin is risk off. Ethereum is a risk off. Then you get into the really speculative shit like play to earn or metaverse or fucking DEX tokens or governance this, governance that. It's all incredibly speculative and it's not working. So AXS is no different. We're below the 7. We will remain to be below the 7, which means that every single week we will print a new low as far as the weekly average price. Every single week we will continue to print new weekly average prices that are lower than the previous week. Does that make any fucking sense at all? As long as we're below the 7, we will continue to trend down. Let's just keep it at that. Let's take a look at the Ronin token, RON. Same shit, different chart. Below the 7, we stay below the 7. SLP. We actually have new metrics in the S&P ecosystem, in the S&P ecosystem where we are able to actually burn some tokens. Is it having a positive effect on SLP? No, it's not. No, we're still below the 7. While we're below the 7, we stay below the 7. That's the long and short of it. That's the theme. If you guys aren't set up with the alpha numerics indicator, this indicator is incredibly useful for somebody who's new. It takes a lot of time. Like the Wyckoff method, it's kind of a catch-22 for me, because when people are most interested in learning the Wyckoff method, it's the time at which I don't want to teach the Wyckoff method because it no longer applies. The Wyckoff method really applies when you're in the bear market, which we're getting into that world. We're getting into the Wyckoff world. And the strategy that's most applicable when you're in a bull market is a trend-based strategy. And that's exactly what Matt with Alpha Numerics has created. Huge shout out to Matt. He's in the Discord. He is an animal. He's one of the best traders that we have in the group when it comes to Bitcoin. Just an absolute animal. Very blessed and grateful to have him in the group. And he's taken his strategy, he's taken his approach to the market, and he's turned it into an indicator. If you guys are interested in this indicator, click the QR code and sign up for Alpha Numerics today. It's a one-time fee. You have it for life. Any upgrades that happen to that indicator, you get included upgrades. So go ahead and take a look at that. But basically, it literally tells you when to buy. Let's actually pull it up on Bitcoin on the weekly. We do cover a lot in Wyckoff, and when we're trading sideways, Wyckoff is great. But, you know, with a momentum-based indicator, you got in here with Bitcoin at, let's say, worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, you bought Bitcoin at 10 grand. And then worst case scenario exit, you sold at 30 grand. And those are two of the worst case scenarios. So you bought at 10 and you sold at 30. So, you know, you tripled your money in the worst case scenario. And then it got you back in at 40, and then it got you back out at 50. So very reliable indicator on these high time frames when momentum and trend is present. When momentum and trend is not present, we focus on Wyckoff, because Wyckoff is what you do when you're flat. Alpha Numerics is what you do when you're trending. All right, well, that's all I got in that area. You guys are quiet today. You guys are really quiet today. Just quiet observers. You've been beaten up by the bear market, or you've been beaten up by me. One of the two. One of the two. Let's take a look at some stocks. See how the stock market's doing today. Stonks. Let's take a look at the macro structure on Apple. Let's go with the daily. Huge, large upthrust here. Apple Apple could continue to rally. Let's turn off alphametrics here. Apple could continue to rally. Let's actually go to a higher time frame. Let's do the 3-day. It's a little noisy on the daily. Now there is a bearish divergence. We do have a bearish divergence here. Not great. Now, the characteristics of this is showing a little bit of distribution. Now, even though this whole consolidation is showing characteristics of distribution, it doesn't mean that we can't do some stupid fuck you, UTAD, first, before we get our LPSY and move to the downside. We'll have to see. Now, the fundamentals of money are quite bearish right now. And that could absolutely be affecting the market as it stands right now. But Apple, yeah, Apple's not as clear cut. Apple's not as clear cut. What's going on with Airbnb? Airbnb just looks like shit. Let's take a look at Meta, and then we'll take a look at DOT. DOT, what a forgotten token. Man, that got so much hype. It got so much hype in the beginning. And then nothing happened. Yeah, Facebook looks like garbage. Looks like absolute trash. Facebook looks fucking terrible. So bad. Interesting metric to see. I wonder what's going to happen with a lot of these social media platforms. There's a lot of things that are happening with social media that's interesting to see. So huge sign of weakness, trapped under ice, unable to rally above this area of the support, and now trending back to the downside with a bearish divergence to boot. Meta looks terrible. I think that Facebook and Meta got a ton of hype because of the metaverse. The metaverse, man, it took over the internet. The metaverse took over the internet. Everybody was frothing at the fucking mouth over the metaverse. The metaverse, like the actual metaverse, is like at least 5 years away. It's at least 5 years away. And we valued these companies as though it's happening next year. The metaverse, like, guys, come on. Like, it's gonna take a long fucking time. We need a better VR experience, and we need people to have AR glasses. Like, AR needs to be a part of your everyday life. Nobody's walking around with AR glasses, and the VR experience is still really, really shit. So we're far away from, the metaverse, and, macro adoption of the metaverse is honestly at least 10 years away. It's not going to be mainstream for another 10 years. So it's interesting to see, the reaction here. Let's take a look at Twitter. And then we will take a look at DOT. Twitter's interesting. Twitter's interesting because Twitter hasn't done anything. Twitter is trading sideways, and that's quite fascinating to me. Jack Dorsey's also a huge Bitcoin bull. So when I look at this, I see accumulation. It's macro, it's silly, it's ridiculous accumulation, but sideways is accumulation. Sideways is accumulation, and a rallying trending market is markup. I don't see markup here. I see accumulation. The range is, over 400%, but I don't see a markup phase. So we've been in accumulation in Twitter for 3,000 days. This is priming for a huge move. Who knows? There's nothing here showing me that we're ready to do anything super substantial. We can absolutely do something like this for a double bottom before we take off. So we're looking at a few years here before anything substantial happens with Twitter. It could take up to 5 years before we enter our markup phase. But Twitter has not entered a markup phase. Twitter can become a very valuable company based off of what I'm seeing here today in the charts. If we can trend and get something like this, get our double bottom formation, our macro Wyckoff double bottom, then, this thing could pull a fucking Tesla. Honestly, it could. but we'll have to wait and see. We'll pay attention to this as it prints in real time. But as it stands right now with the rest of the market, we're trending to the downside. So, you know, looking for that double bottom formation. Once you get down to this general range at around anywhere from, we'll call it $15 to $20 is a good price to be accumulating Twitter, in my opinion. Not financial advice, just my opinion. And for the record, I don't have a ton of exposure to stocks. I don't typically gain exposure to stocks, but I know that Twitter is an innovative platform that is embracing blockchain technology, and I'm bullish on that. So, you know, it could have some correlation with it could have some correlation with the performance of crypto, which I'm highly bullish on long term. All right, let's take a look at DOT. Yeah, not great. Not great. We're right back to where we started from, basically. The entire bull market was erased. DOT lost it all. Like, if you were an investor in DOT, if you invested heavily in Polkadot at the beginning of the bull market, you lost everything. That's shitty. Like, if you took a heavy position, you 10x'd your money and you gave it all back. Now, chances are you also traded. So not only did you give it all back, you're actually worse than when you started. So you wasted the entire bull market. Not great. I don't have a lot of faith in Polkadot, honestly. But this is coming from the point of view that I really think that the innovation here is blockchain, not the coins. The coins are just the incentive layer. So the widest adopted cryptocurrency is going to be the most effective incentive layer to upkeep the ledger. And for that reason, I think Bitcoin is the best. And you know, people don't want to agree with that because they don't want to buy Bitcoin because it's too expensive. But the reality is, how many fucking internets do you use? What are we streaming on? What internet are we on right now? Which internet is this again? Oh yeah, it's the one fucking internet. It's the one fucking protocol. We'll see what happens here, but I personally don't believe that we need any of these coins. I think that the innovations and the applications can be built on top of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the ledger, blockchain is the innovation, the ledger is the innovation. The only thing that we need to make sure happens is we need to incentivize people to keep the ledger. That's it. And you only need one currency to do that. You can do literally everything on Bitcoin. Not a popular opinion. And I will also say that most people, most market participants don't believe that. And that's a positive thing for any altcoin investor because we still haven't figured shit out yet. So my belief, it's a 10-year belief. I think eventually we figure out that really the innovation is blockchain and that the currency that you should be buying is Bitcoin. But I think that the market doesn't know that, and they're not going to know that for probably 10 years. They're not going to know that for 10 years. So what does that mean? That means that we're going to be speculating on crypto for 10 years. We're going to be speculating on what it means to have a blockchain for 10 years. So you're going to have competition. You're going to have shitcoins. You're going to have innovations that fucking 100x. You're going to have more of the same bullshit for another 10 years. You're going to have plenty of money-making opportunity inside of the altcoin space for the next decade. And I think that Bitcoin will ultimately win. But, you know, we'll have plenty of time to play around while people figure that out. Governments and regulations will play a role as well, I'm sure. Yeah. Diamond hands only. Hey, Benny Robinson, you just got yourself a fantastic new band. How about that? Beanie Robinson, what did you do? How come I can't see you, you motherfucker? Anyways, all right, you win this time. If anybody sees that contract address in the chat, don't touch it. It's a scam. Like most of crypto is a scam. Interesting chart is the Euro US dollar. Yeah, it's basically the same as the DXY. Euro USD, it's the inverse of the DXY. The euro continues to fall in price against the dollar. You know, we've got distribution here on the dollar, and you know, you can do USD euro. USD euro is the inverse, and the USD euro looks basically exactly the same as the DXY. So USD euro, boom. DXY, boom, it's the same. What this chart is representing is it's representing the dollar's ability to maintain purchasing power above other fiat currencies. All the fiat is shit. All the fiat is losing value. Every single fiat currency will eventually fail. Who knows how long that could take? It could be a fucking 100 years, like who knows? But they will all eventually fail. And what this chart represents is it's saying that the US dollar sucks the least. So the euro sucks more. The euro sucks more. Let's go Euro USD. But yeah, everything else sucks more than the dollar, but the dollar still sucks. That being said, I do think that, you know, cash has been the play. Cash has been the play thus far. So, you know, don't beat yourself up if you're holding a fiat currency, because you've been doing better than the equity market. You've been doing better than the cryptocurrency market. And if you've specifically been holding US dollars, you've been doing better than the global currency markets. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing, you know. It's fine. Yeah, so garden profit, governments and regulations will play a role as well, I'm sure. Yeah, so the government is going to try and stop Bitcoin, but you can't stop Bitcoin. Governments are going to try. They're going to try really, really hard. But what gives Bitcoin value is the fact that it's neutral and it's owned by nobody. This is why I also think that there is not going to be another cryptocurrency that replaces Bitcoin. Because for you to launch a cryptocurrency today means that you need to go through regulatory framework. It means that you need to go through compliance legal framework, which means that you can be shut down. Bitcoin is this perfect fucking immaculate conception of power that is being taken away from governments. We will always have governments. We will always have governments. It would be foolish to think that we can live peacefully and, you know, prosperously without government. But what government has done is they've abused their power. They've abused their power, and they suppress other countries, and they suppress their citizens. The United States has done nothing but rape and pillage the rest of the world to their own benefit. You may not agree with this, but this is why the US dollar is as strong as it is. It's because it's been holding down power against other countries. The fact that you can go to Vietnam and get a bowl of soup for 50 cents is a pretty good benchmark of a broken system that's not fair. Bitcoin will take the power away from those who are abusing it, and it will democratize the free and global market. And then governments will adapt, we will exist, we will move forwards, and we will build new financial structures on top of sound money principles. The things that I'm talking about right now, they will take a long time to develop. They will take a long time to take effect. But I would not be surprised if, you know, I would be shocked if we didn't go to war over Bitcoin. I think that Bitcoin has an incredibly powerful potential, and governments are not going to go willingly. They're going to fight. They're going to fight with everything that they possibly can, because they don't want to give up the power They don't want to have to play fair. They don't want to have to play under a new set of rules where, you actually need to do a fucking budget. You have to be a responsible financial entity. A mistake could cost your position in the world order. Governments don't want that. The US doesn't need to do a goddamn thing. The US has power, and because they have power, they continue to have power. Because if somebody gets more powerful than them, they just print money and bolster their army and figure out ways to put sanctions against their threatened country, and they just squash them. It's great if you're American. It's great if you're American. You're prospering under that system. But it's not sustainable. It's not a sustainable system. And I think that Bitcoin is really going to shake things up a bit. And if it does shake things up, it's going to be very interesting to see how specifically the US government responds, because the US has the most to lose. The United States and its citizens has the most to lose with the success of cryptocurrency. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this all kind of flushes out over the next 10 to 20 years. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's wars over it. Never would have guessed that it looks like the inverse of the DXY. Well, it's basically what it is. The euro is the second most, is the second biggest fiat currency. So if the DXY is a basket of fiat currencies, the DXY is basically USD euro. And so when you look at euro USD, it's just the inverse of the DXY, just because the euro is the most powerful. So, the DXY is all the major fiats indexed together against the dollar. So it's not surprising. It's the exact, the DXY is basically the euro dollar, not euro dollar, the euro/dollar. All right. What else? What else we got? I think I'll close it out there if we don't have, you guys aren't spamming. That's weird. It's weird. You guys aren't spamming tickers. Took a look at DOT. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to be so bearish on DOT, but hey, unbiased. All right, so what are we waiting for on Bitcoin? We're waiting to come back down to these levels at around 18,000. We'll call it 18,000. Get a retest around 18, 19, potentially 17.5. Now, if we break below that, where are we headed? If we break below that, we're probably going to consolidate on the mean here, and then maybe potentially get a move up after that. So somewhere around, as time progresses, this target becomes lower because we're in a downtrend. I don't think we come down to these levels. I think those are a little too scary. I think those are a little too irrational. If we get a black swan event, sure, but the dictionary definition of a black swan event is you can't predict it. So what are we doing here? There's no point in trying to predict a black swan. That's by definition impossible. So we could look at this area right here, which would be within the range of that target I mentioned at the beginning of the show, between 9,800 and 13.5. That's my target. That's where I become very interested in Bitcoin. But yeah, we will see. We got a few. We did take a look at VeChain. I don't. It's below the 7 on the weekly. There's nothing to worry about with VeChain. It's just gonna trade sideways or trade lower. It's not going up. It's not going up. Not anytime soon. Not until it can start printing weekly candles above the 7. You don't think this daily close was pretty bullish? Fuck no. Absolutely not. The entire macro environment is very, very bearish. Especially on ETH, the week to me shows buy pressure. There's no buyers. There's no buyers, my friend. There's no buyers. Absolutely not. There's nothing about this chart that's nice. We're going to lose this level and we're going to come back down to around $1,000 ETH is what I'm thinking. Could you set up a Bitcoin node on Mars, or is the synchronization time too long? I mean, in theory, you could. But let's take this one step at a time. Let's worry about Bitcoin being an Earth currency before we start making it an intergalactic currency. Yeah, no, it'll be too long, my friend. It'll be too long. We would have to come up with like zero knowledge proofs, or no, I'm just gonna say no. Latency is too far. Not with the technology we have right now. Even with the speed of light, no. All right, we're gonna close out the show there. So thank you all for joining in to the stream here. I gotta get into the virtual classroom. If you guys are interested in learning more about the Wyckoff method, take my course. Come into the Discord. Take as much time as you need to get through the material. I do have a course on the paid side, but we also have the free PDFs and everything on the free side as well. So if you are interested in taking a look at that, scan the QR code, get into the Discord, and take a look around, snoop around, have a good time. Thank you all for joining in, and please trade safe. It is a jungle out there. Peace.